All right. Hi, everybody. Happy Monday night call. I've been absolutely loving these Monday night calls, our empowered team calls. They've been so good. And I love just being able to tailor them to our our specific team needs and where we're at. And because every team is different, what they're what they're going through, what season they're in, all of that. So tonight we wanted to talk to you guys about healthy business boundaries. Um, a lot of it's just one of those things that you kind of have to really be intentional about, really self-evaluate, figure out what you need, because you have to have good boundaries in order to prevent any fatigue or feelings of overwhelm or things of that nature. And so I feel like healthy business boundaries is a skill in itself. So you can recognize when you need boundaries. If you feel like you're doing plexus all day long, then you might need boundaries. Okay, we all need boundaries, but ask yourself, do you feel like you're doing plexus all day long? Do you feel like this is interrupting family time? Do you feel like you're not able to make time for other things in your life? Or likewise, are you not able to find time to do this? So it could be on either side of the coin there. Maybe you can't find the time because you don't have good boundaries, or maybe you are not figuring out what you need. Because the beauty of this is we can all work this business at our own speed. We can all work this business you know we can all work this business part-time, but not sometimes. Okay, so I do want to make that clear. You can do this part-time, but not sometimes. Okay, working this business sometimes will leave you feeling burned out. It will leave you feeling discouraged, because the consistency. And like we're reading in the Slight Edge, if you don't have the book, another plug for the book. I wish that I read this book in the beginning of my business. And if you're not into reading books, you need to get into reading books, because leaders are readers. And leaders are learners, and we're all leaders. If you have one person on your team, if you have one customer, if you have whatever, you are a leader. So I will start by saying there's been different seasons of my business that I have not had good boundaries. And it always led me to feeling tired, led me feeling into like this wasn't fun or whatever. And then it becomes a lot more enjoyable when you start setting boundaries, and and you really have to sit down and evaluate, like, where are these feelings coming from, in what areas, and then adjust accordingly. So I had to at one point I had to put my phone across the room, and I had to wake up early and, like, hey, I am not going to look at my phone first thing in the morning. I am not going to look at my phone for the first hour of the day. That's what I needed in that season. A lot of the time, even just 30 minutes, anything where you can just start your day off not in reactivity, not responding to things, not like, that's what I needed. Some people, that might not be what you need. Maybe you need to just get plexus going. I know there's a lot of people on this team who just like wake up and they hit their plexus and they knock it off, and they get it done, and then they can deal with the other stuff, responding and things like that later. So that's what I really like to do. I know Natalie's going to talk to us about business hours and things like that. For the season that I'm in, it's more of setting family hours, right? So like between, after my kids, like I'm going to set the boundary where I'm not going to take, phone calls, after I pick up my kids until after dinner time, because that's family time. So that is my boundary. I'm not going to feel bad about it. You know, it's not really ever an emergency. You know, very rarely, unless I have a new runner, unless I have a brand new runner who's just like taking off and whatever, that's when it becomes a little bit flexible. And my family knows, my family has buy-in in what this is. This is our business. And they know that, hey, I have a new person that I'm working with and I'm helping them get off of the ground, and they're okay with that because this is a family business and I've had buy-in. Tova, are you going to talk about, did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can. Do you, Natalie, you want me to go now, or you want me to go after the other
Yeah.
Natalie?
And then if we have anything, if I have anything else, I can add that in.
Hopefully I don't stomp on what you're going to talk about. A few things I've just picked up on through experience over the years. And the reason we're having this is we want to take away any shame or guilt you might feel with like, oh, I don't feel like working my business. I don't feel like I need a weekend off. And you just kind of take a step back, disappear. Those feelings are okay. Those feelings are 100% going to happen. I think you just need to learn what they mean and how to respond appropriately. So it's like if you are getting a cold and your throat hurts and you start coughing, like it's a reaction. Your body is telling you something. So if you ever feel like this is not super fun, that doesn't mean there's going to be days when you don't want to do your IPA and you just do your IPA. That's like my laundry every day. You just do it. But if you're finding like overall this is not as fun, I'm dreading it, like those are big red flags that somewhere something isn't balanced, and you need to, instead of taking a step back, you need to take a step towards your sponsor and say, I don't know what's up, but I need some help troubleshooting. Like this used to seem more fun, and they will ask, okay, well, let's go over what your schedule looks like. Almost always, you're not budgeting your time. And so you kind of feel like a chicken with their head cut off, and you feel like you're not really getting anything done. And it's actually pretty true. So, who was, I don't know if it's Emily Gibson said it, if she only gives herself like 45 minutes to work or 30 minutes to work, and that's it. Like, man, she'll like get so much done as opposed to if she had 3 or 4 hours. She's just like, I'm gonna scroll for a little while, I'm gonna comment for a little while. So budget your time and energy. I took way too long to learn this. You have a set amount of energy, so let's look at it as like a dollar. Today I have $1's worth of energy. You need to decide, and you're not going to get any more. So where's 10 cents going, and 20 cents going, and 30 cents going? And when it's gone, it's gone. So don't spend your money or your energy on scrolling and commenting on people first, because that may not be left. You need to do your IPA first. You need to get your mind right first, whatever that looks like. And that goes for your family, but I'm really specifically talking about when you set aside time for Plexus, what to do with it. So it's okay to not feel happy and wonderful all the time. That's normal. It matters what you do with it. This is like motherhood. I feel like as soon as you think you got it figured out, like it changes and you're like, oh damn, I thought I had that figured out. So just be okay with the fact that this is constantly going to be changing. Even if you set a schedule for the next 7 days, try that out, and if it worked,
once you guys are at 123gochecklist.com,
hello,
raise your hand on the Zoom control.
Alicia, can you mute? You got her. So she's going to talk about probably time blocking and office hours. So I don't want to hit on that. And you need to learn, you need to be introspective and learn what does burnout look like for me, or not burnout. What does overload look like for me? And for me, I start getting more irritable. My notifications will start to irritate me. That's one thing I wanted to talk about with Comment Love. It's Empower Comment now. That threshold is going to be different for everyone. We do not expect you guys to comment on every single person's I need love in there. If you enjoy that and you like that reciprocity, do that. Otherwise, like good faith effort, like get in there when you can, do some comments when you can. We need 3 comments to boost someone's post. So if you had a super busy day and you look and see people have 16 comments, don't feel like you need to. If you like to, go right ahead. But again, that's a penny out, penny out, penny out. You're expending energy. So be careful with what order you expend energy in. So if you're already feeling drained for the day, commenting on people's stuff is probably not where you need to spend your energy. You need to spend it on asking one or two cold people, hey, do you need help with your health journey? Um, I think that's all. I'm sure I'll think of something, but let me let Natalie take over.
All right, sorry. That was amazing. I think for me and my experience, it's been really important to be intentional. Um, Intentionality with your time is going to reduce guilt as a mom. I have 3 kids, 4 and under. So that's hard on most days to have my like specific work hours. I try really hard to do that. But like Natalie said, I'll do like 2 hours where I am just with my kids. I'm just with them. I'm literally putting my phone away. I'm just going to be with them. I know that I also need power hours. You might be that person where you really need a power hour and you want to be held accountable for that. So speak to your sponsor and we will hold you accountable to that. Power hours are very, very important for me to know that I have, like today, I went to the coffee shop and I decided to leave my house. If I've talked to you about this before, you know, I need to leave my house sometimes to work. So that's been very helpful for me. A change of scenery, being at the coffee shop, being with other people that are working, meeting new people. I went to a new coffee shop today and I met the lady that works there was so sweet and I told her what I do and we were talking about Plexus and it was just so nice to be able to talk to someone new about that in that setting. So sometimes you do have to get out of your house. You know, I recommend that if you can just go to a coffee shop and do that for a little bit. And that that will reduce your mom guilt when, and if this is, if you know you have kids. I don't know if everybody on here does have kids or not, but if you don't have kids, don't worry about it. But like as a mom, you do feel guilty at certain times when you are on your phone, and that's only because you're not being intentional. If you were intentional with your time, you would not feel mom guilt and you would not feel like, oh my god, I can't handle this. So you have to pace your growth in order to reduce that burnout and overwhelm. I saw this quote and it said, I don't believe in growing at your pace. I believe in pacing your growth. So it's so important to pace your growth and not letting things just kind of do whatever they do. So obviously we know this, if our day is managing us, then we're just kind of, I have days like that. So I'm not saying that I have this figured out in any way, shape, or form. But if you feel in your day like you don't have enough time and you're always feeling like you don't have enough time, I would go back and even take this deeper and say you might have to do some like work on poverty mindset. I had to do a lot of work on that when it came to time, even time, because I didn't realize that I was seeing everything through a lens of lacking. And so if you feel like you're always lacking in something and you don't have enough time, you don't have enough resources, you don't know enough people, anytime where it's like there's not enough of this, I would go back and reconsider like what's your mindset on poverty, scarcity, things like deep things like that you can work on, because it all affects your business. It all affects how you work. It all affects your joy in your work. And we all want to have joy in what we do. And we can't have that if we are not being intentional. So I would say a lot of people do time blocking, and that's amazing. For me, I do, like I said, power hours are very, very important to me. And having a time where I can just be with my children and put my phone away. And that way I don't feel overwhelmed and I don't feel guilty. So yeah.
One more quick thing I thought of, that like you don't necessarily know when, especially as a mom with young kids, when you're gonna get that hour, and it could be different every day with your husband's schedule. But I encourage you to, I don't even know if you call it time block within that hour. When you have that hour, set a timer for 15 minutes. I'm gonna do cold messages. or my Franks list. For 15 minutes, I'm going to do follow-ups for 15 minutes. As your business grows, there's no such thing as being done or caught up. It's impossible. And so don't like tie your like feeling at peace with your business to being done, because that will cause a lot of unrest. You need to set really realistic goals that you're going to achieve. Not that you shouldn't like stretch for big goals, but in your work hour, I followed up for 15 minutes. It's not, I followed up with 71 people, like, because crap happens. Like, I did what I kept that promise to myself. I was going to follow up for 15 minutes and I did it. I was going to reach out to colds and I did it. And some days you're going to feel super motivated. It's going to feel easy, like a workout. It's just like a workout. Sometimes you work out, you're like, that was freaking horrible, but I did it. Like, it didn't feel good at all. I didn't want to do it, and it did suck. And then other days you're like, I'm gonna keep going. This feels great. So that's okay, but you keep showing up.
And I would just add to that too, do your reach outs first. Like that's always the first thing I do. Sometimes it's the most uncomfortable thing and it gets you right. It just gets you going. So I wouldn't even recommend to do follow-ups first. Like do your reach outs, your cold messages, the scary people that you don't want to, just get it over with. Do it first. Because that will, I don't know, it like stirs you up, and so you will be able to do everything else. That's kind of my experience too. So do your reach outs first. Do not wait and do other things before you do that.
Definitely. Yeah, that's honestly the number one thing that's going to move the needle in your business. If you can do one thing, it's reach out to people and see if they are open to checking out some info, and absolutely make your chicken list and get your whole chicken list out of the way, and you will be so empowered. And so like, I remember when I did that, made my whole chicken list and I just went through and I hit up everybody on the chicken list. And after that, I was like, cool, like there's nobody I cannot talk to. Like I can talk to anybody now. This is great, And seriously, I was like, cool, like that was not painful. Like some of these people were just very kind and whatever, like great. Um, if you do need, just a plug, we have a power hour daily at 12:30 for accountability and just, hey, we're all showing up here. That's Eastern time, and we're all showing up here and we're working our business for an hour, and we're just, hey, this is what we're working on. We mute and we work our businesses for an hour. And let me tell you, like, I don't always feel like getting on, but I know that I'm committed, and I know that like I'm gonna show up regardless of if I would rather take a shower, do my dishes, or I wouldn't rather do my dishes, but there are some trade-offs. If you feel like you don't have time, there are trade-offs. There was a long time where I did not watch TV. Pretty long time where I traded off watching TV, or maybe less, there's always places that we can find time if we're willing to do those simple daily disciplines. But I would definitely encourage everybody to just ask themselves, like evaluate, how are my business boundaries? How, where am I at? And maybe, yeah, just hit up your sponsor and see like, hey, like this is where I'm feeling like how could I have better boundaries or whatever. So that's what I've got. Anybody, y'all got anything else? We good? We got it? One last thing. I will say, this is what I was gonna say. Get buy-in with your family. If this is something new for you, or if you're like really going all in, I know it's hard to have, to sit down with your husband and just, it's vulnerable to sit down with, your husband, your kids, whatever, and be like, hey, I'm really gonna try. I'm really gonna do this. I'm really taking this seriously. And so the dynamics might need to change. It might feel uncomfortable if you have to say, hey, can you do a load of laundry a week? can you put the kids to bed on Mondays and Thursdays so I can go to team call? Because this is something that I'm taking serious. This is something that I'm doing for me and for our family and for others. And this is what I'm doing. So it might have to shift the dynamic in your family, but it's good, your kids are not victims if you can't literally do everything for them. It's okay if your husband puts them to bed instead of you one night, or whatever that may be. But sometimes that is necessary. It's not always easy to have those conversations and have the dynamic shift a little bit, but it is going to be necessary along the way,
I forgot to mention that. I'm sorry. So I think the dreaming and goal setting together will get more buy-in from your family. That's when I noticed it. Like my husband was willing to do it, but when I made him dream with me, like where would we go vacation? Like, no, really tell me. And like, well, like what tool would you buy next if I handed you $500? Like really, which one? And so to like draw that out of them, and I mean, it took a while. And then my kids, we got on Pinterest and looked up pictures of swimming pools, like the shape we want and the deck we want and the lights we want. So like they are all about it. They have that like seared in their head. Who knows if that's the one we'll get, but it's like for little people to like, okay, leave mom alone. She has the plexus now. That's what they say. So that helps to get buy-in from them.
Absolutely. So I think that that's really important. And if your spouse doesn't, they don't catch the vision yet, or they don't really get what this is, or their belief is not your belief, that's okay too, because that's a process. Just know that can be normal as well. And that they'll come around a lot of the time, when they start seeing money come in, when they start maybe hearing the way you're growing in confidence, hearing your excitement, listening to your successes, they will start to get it. I mean, it took my husband a long time to really get it, like to really, really get it. Like, I think finally now he's really gotten it, so that's okay too, all right, guys, that's all we've got. So thanks for hopping on. I hope this was helpful. I hope this brings some clarity and some peace, and knowing that, this is a normal part of the process of growing with your business and refining and all of that. So, all right, y'all, have a good night.